They left home with dreams of a better life, but most would never return. In 1846, 87 pioneers began their long journey toward California. They believed the West would bring wealth, land, and a brighter future. Every mile filled them with hope and endless possibilities. Then they made one decision that changed everything forever. They chose a shortcut that looked faster, but it became a deadly mistake. The trail grew rough, the mountains rose higher, and every step became harder. Food supplies quickly disappeared, and fear slowly replaced hope. The freezing cold arrived earlier than anyone had expected. Soon, heavy snow covered every path, leaving no way forward. Trapped deep inside the mountains, the families realized they were completely alone. What happened next became one of the darkest survival stories in American history. The shortcut was called the Hastings Cutoff. It promised a faster journey to California, but no wagon train had ever completed this dangerous route before. Instead, they faced thick forests, giant rocks, and impossible mountain trails. Every mile stole their strength, and every hour wasted precious time. They had no idea that winter was already closing in. Then they entered the Great Salt Lake Desert, where water was almost impossible to find. Food disappeared, their animals collapsed, and hope slowly began to fade. Some families abandoned their wagons just to keep moving. Weeks later, the snow-covered Sierra Nevada finally appeared ahead. They believed the hardest part of the journey was finally over. But as the first snowflakes touched the ground, their real nightmare had just begun. Nobody noticed it at first, but the mountain was already changing. A little girl reached out to catch the first snowflake, believing it was just another beautiful winter day. Her mother didn't smile. She had seen winters like this before, and she knew this one felt different. That night, nobody laughed around the campfire. The silence spoke louder than words. Without warning, the strongest ox collapsed into the snow. In that single moment, everyone realized the mountain was winning. No one cried, because deep inside, they knew this wouldn't be the last life they would lose. The next morning, every footprint had disappeared beneath fresh snow. It was as if the mountain had erased their path forever. One exhausted man looked around and whispered, "We're lost." For the first time since the journey began, the leaders argued over what to do next. That evening, every family received less food than the day before. The supplies were running out. One father quietly gave his own meal to his children, pretending he wasn't hungry. As darkness swallowed the mountains, a powerful blizzard rolled toward the camp, and their nightmare truly began. By sunrise, the blizzard had buried almost everything they owned. Every shovel of snow revealed another impossible problem. The wagons no longer moved, no matter how hard they tried. Inside one wagon, a baby cried through the freezing night. The fathers burned their last pieces of firewood, hoping to survive one more night. Then, the fire began to die. The next morning, there was only enough food for a few more days. Every meal became smaller, but nobody dared to complain. That afternoon, two leaders argued over whether to stay or risk crossing the mountains. No decision felt safe anymore. Every choice seemed to lead toward death. That night, the temperature dropped lower than anyone had imagined. Before dawn, they woke to a terrifying discovery. At first light, they discovered another ox had frozen to death during the night. Without their strongest animals, escape suddenly felt impossible. Every family counted their food, again and again, hoping they had missed something. One child quietly asked, "When are we going home?" No one replied, because no one knew the answer. That evening, someone finally spoke the words everyone feared. "We can't wait here anymore," one leader finally said. "If no one leaves, none of us will survive." The camp fell completely silent, because everyone understood what he meant. Volunteers slowly stepped forward, knowing they might never return. That night, husbands hugged their wives, and parents held their children a little longer than usual. Before sunrise, 15 brave souls prepared to walk into the frozen wilderness. With one final look behind them, they disappeared into the white silence. Before sunrise, the rescue party took their first step into the endless white wilderness. Behind them, their families watched until the last figure disappeared into the snow. Every step sank deep into the snow, stealing more of their strength. By noon, no one had spoken for hours. Only the sound of the freezing wind followed them. Then, one of them stumbled and couldn't stand again. For the first time, they wondered if leaving the camp had been a mistake. The storm grew stronger, until they couldn't even see the person walking in front of them. When the wind finally eased, they realized one traveler was missing. They searched through the snow, calling his name again and again. Hours later, they found him barely alive beneath the drifting snow. That night, they shared the last of their food, knowing tomorrow could be even harder. By morning, Hunger had become just as dangerous as the mountain itself. By the third day, their food was almost completely gone. Each person received only a tiny bite, barely enough to stay alive. No one complained, because everyone knew the truth. Some could barely walk, but stopping meant certain death. Every mile felt longer than the last. Then, another snowstorm rolled across the mountains. The world disappeared into white once again. One traveler quietly whispered, "Keep moving." Behind them, their footprints vanished within seconds. The mountain gave them no second chances. Still, they refused to turn back. Somewhere beyond these mountains, help was waiting. They just had to survive long enough to reach it. 5 days into their journey, even the strongest among them could barely keep walking. Back at the camp, silence had become more frightening than the storm itself. One mother secretly gave her last piece of bread to her youngest child. Miles away, the rescue party discovered a frozen canyon blocking their path. Turning back wasn't an option, so they searched for another way across. Every heartbeat reminded them, one mistake could end everything. That evening, a faint column of smoke appeared far beyond the mountains. For the first time in days, hope felt real again. But reaching it would demand every ounce of strength they had left. Back at the camp, another freezing night began. No one knew if the rescue party was still alive. Beyond the next ridge, their fate was about to change forever. On the 6th morning, they could barely recognize each other beneath the ice covering their clothes. Then, they heard something they hadn't heard in days: flowing water. The sound meant one thing: they were finally descending toward lower ground. Back at the camp, another wagon collapsed beneath the weight of the snow. No one panicked anymore, they were simply too exhausted. Far ahead, smoke appeared once again. This time, it was much closer. Every survivor found the strength to take one more step. For the first time in weeks, hope felt stronger than fear. The camp still waited, unaware that help was finally getting closer. Every passing hour felt like an eternity. Beyond the mountains, people were about to hear their desperate story. Their fight for survival wasn't over, but rescue was finally within reach. After days of unimaginable suffering, the survivors finally saw signs of civilization. The settlers couldn't believe what they were seeing. Weak voices told a story that no one wanted to hear. Without wasting a single day, volunteers began preparing a rescue mission. Meanwhile, the families trapped in the mountains were still waiting. Every passing day made survival even more difficult. The rescue team climbed back toward the mountains, carrying hope with them. Nature fought them every step of the way. Back at the camp, no one knew help was already on its way. Far beyond the storm, rescuers pushed through the frozen wilderness without stopping. They knew every hour could mean another life lost. At last, the frozen camp appeared through the falling snow. After months of waiting, the impossible finally happened. No one cheered, they were simply too exhausted to believe rescue had finally arrived. The rescuers immediately shared blankets, food, and hope. They quickly realized, not everyone was strong enough to leave. The children would leave first. Some parents stayed behind, hoping another rescue team would return. With heavy hearts, the first group began the long journey back. The camp slowly disappeared behind the falling snow. Those left behind watched, praying they would not be forgotten. The mountains remained silent, hiding whatever would happen next. Another rescue mission was already being planned. The story wasn't over yet, but hope had finally returned to the mountains. Weeks after the first rescue, another team climbed back into the frozen Sierra Nevada. What they found was heartbreaking, but they refused to leave anyone behind. One by one, the remaining survivors began the long journey out of the mountains. Not everyone who started the journey west would make it home. By the end of the tragedy, 48 people survived, while 39 lost their lives. Their story spread across America, becoming one of the nation's most unforgettable survival tragedies. Historians still study their decisions, searching for the lessons hidden within their journey. Their greatest mistake wasn't courage, it was trusting a shortcut they didn't fully understand. The Sierra Nevada kept their memories, long after the snow had melted. Today, the Donner Party remains one of the most studied survival stories in American history. Their journey reminds us that even the smallest decision can change countless lives forever. The Donner Party wasn't remembered for reaching California, but for revealing how hope, courage, and impossible choices shaped history forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more true stories from American history.